Alright, so Google just officially announced their Nexus S, which is their new flagship phone. For those people who aren't like completely nerded out in the Android ecosphere, Google in January of last year started selling their Nexus 1, which really they kind of sold to kind of kickstart Android premium handset development. When the Nexus 1 came out, it was really kind of the premier handset. And the thing about Nexus phones, both the 1 and the S, is that Google is pretty dedicated to giving them the most recent software. So reports leaked out today that as Google was officially unveiling Gingerbread, they also officially started rolling out the release of Gingerbread to Nexus 1 owners. So if you own a Nexus phone, you get the latest software first. And part of Android's problem is that they allow it to be customized, much in the same way that Windows used to allow Windows Mobile 6.5. Different handset developers and wireless carriers can go in and change things. Like the two most popular skins are HTC Sense UI for everything from the Evo to the Incredible, and then Motorola has their own sucktastic skin, Moto Blur or Moto Blur, Blur Ninja, Ninja Blur, or whatever. The problem is that whenever Google releases like a new operating system like Gingerbread, those carriers and handset manufacturers have to update and basically re-engineer their software around those updates. So there's a lag time. So the problem is that you'll get some handset manufacturers, like there are still phones that are still stuck on 2.1, although Google's officially been at 2.2 here for a while, and we're moving to 2.3 as of today. So there are people who you can literally go out and buy a brand new, almost top-of-the-line handset and still be 2 iterations of software behind. You can still go out and get a Samsung Galaxy S phone, which the Nexus S is based off of, and those are still running 2.1. And 2.2 is a pretty substantial performance boost, and 2.3 adds a bunch of UI changes and additional support for new hardware. So there's definitely something to be said for being on a Nexus handset. You're not getting left behind. You're not getting sort of that carrier or handset manufacturer's replacement UI. You're getting the strict Google experience. But there were some things that kind of troubled me. I'm on the G2 right now. Pretty happy with it. It is a little bit heavy. The hinge is not, I would have much preferred like a Motorola Droid 2 type keyboard hinge layout, but the keyboard itself is great. And some of the specs of the Nexus S trouble me. Namely the rear-facing video camera. The G2 only has the rear camera. It doesn't have a front-facing camera for video chat, but the Nexus S only records, according to the spec pages, video in 480p, which is pretty bad. I mean, I don't know what the camera sensor's like, but as far as HD video is concerned, that's not 720. It's not even 1080. And so when pretty much all flagship handsets are shipping with 720p recording, a little bit weird that Google and Samsung would unveil the next flagship handset for the platform and it does 480p recording. And also the cell chip. T-Mobile is currently pushing their HSPA Plus network, which is they're advertising as 4G. And some people have been way too critical, I think, of T-Mobile and how we're labeling 4G speeds. T-Mobile has basically, for now at least, stuck with their GSM HSPA network, and they are simply, using new new standards to push speeds up, and people are saying, you know, it's kind of a cop-out. It's not really a new 4G network. And I think the biggest, you know, thing for customers is availability. How many cities do I have coverage in? And speed. So if HSPA Plus can deliver the same speeds that LTE and WiMAX do, I don't think customers really care about the labels. I mean, I don't. I ran speed test on my phone, and T-Mobile's network is incredibly fast. I wouldn't, you know, get caught up in labels just because it says, you know, because pundits say that, you know, it's the same old network, they're just tuning it. Well, if they're tuning it and it's, you know, getting faster and it's competing with LTE and WiMAX, then who cares what its origins are? But the point of the train of thought there was that the Nexus S does not appear to support the fastest speeds that T-Mobile has to offer, which is another oddity. The G2 supports up to 14 plus megabits per second, whereas the Nexus S only appears to support half of that. You're not getting a full 14 anywhere, but there's less headroom there. As HSPA Plus continues to fill out and T-Mobile continues to fine-tune the speeds and increase backhauls, it just seems odd. It seems odd that you would release a flagship device and not have flagship features. I mean, even if you're not going to use them, just name throwing, you know, 720p recording, we're on America's first 4G network. So it seems like Google and Samsung maybe missed the ball to play up the specs. The curved display looks pretty neat. It's kind of like, it's a very subtle banana shaped, which could be pretty cool. I like the screen size. It's 4 inches, so it's not the 4.3 inches of the Droid or the Evo, which, in my experience, they were both a little bit too big for easy pocketability and usage. So yeah, I'm on the edge. I just got the G2, so I think I still have like 25 days to return it. But I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see if Gingerbread gets out for the G2, because the G2 is pretty much stock Android. It's got a few extra T-Mobile apps, but they didn't screw anything up with the UI. It's a stock Android experience. So it'll be interesting to see if Gingerbread rolls out to the G2 next. But it seems like Google and Samsung maybe missed the boat on some of the specs, but I'll be interested to see what happens. It goes on sale December 16th at Best Buy stores. All Nexus S's are unlocked. So even though you don't have 3G support for AT&T, you can purchase a Nexus S, throw a AT&T SIM card in there, of course with your AT&T service or whatever, and you're good to go. It also will work around the world on any GSM carrier. So, very cool stuff there.